Hey everyone, welcome to the Vegan Stew. Happy New Year, happy January, happy new stage of our country, all these things. We have been trying to go live for a while. We have busy lives. We have a lot of stuff going on. Marla Rose has stuff to share with you. We have so much. We're talking about red dye. We're going to talk about ethics and morals tonight because, we like to talk about stuff. But first, let's say thank you to Hodo Foods for sponsoring our lives and Veg Fest Expos for the month of January. Definitely check them out at hodo.com. Great tofu out of Berkeley, California. And I don't know what else to say. So remember to subscribe on YouTube and our socials. You'll see them floating on the bottom of the screen. And if you have any questions or comments, we do encourage them. So please share reasonably, share questions, comments, and interrupt, and we'll get to it if we can get to it. And I'm going to bring the speaker in, and they'll let me know if I forgot anything because we haven't done this in a while. If you're on Instagram, you're more than welcome to write questions and comments as well. I will pop over there to check out what you've written and bring it into StreamYard so we can respond to you as well. Here we go. We've got Marla Rose of Vegan Street.
Hi.
We've got Kelly, the Vegan Enabler and Climate Healers. And we've got Dr. Shayla.
Hey.
Health Wellness Clinic and Coach. So I think, how do we start? I'm seeing, okay, we don't have anybody else in the queue. So I'm more than aware that this could go off the rails. I'm just saying right now, I'm more than aware when we don't get together, and it's not like we're all communicating together when we're not doing this. Really come and get together, and then we let it all out. So I'm very aware that this can go off the rails very quickly. But I think before we dive into the red dye and the ethics and stuff, I'm just going to throw it at Marla. Marla's got something to share that we really wanted to share when it was happening. It was probably a good thing that we didn't go live when it happened.
Yeah.
But hey, Marla was involved in something that maybe you saw on social media, maybe you didn't. But, go ahead. I'm going to let Sovereign in.
Yeah. Oh, goody, Sovereign's here. Yay. I'm just trying to think of a way to share it without being long-winded. So basically, after the election and Trump, was declared the next president of the United States, the former and present president, there was someone in my town who's pretty notorious for his anti-Semitic, misogynist. I mean, like, this is not just me being a feminist saying these. He is a known neo-Nazi. But this Southern Poverty Law Center he is a known bigot, terrible human being. He posted after Trump got elected, "Your body, my choice." And he has a huge platform. I don't know, hundreds of thousands of followers just on Twitter. It turns out he lives in my town, and I was surprised by that. I didn't think so. Anyway, long story short, there's not a ton I can say about it because there are legal issues being worked through. There is a criminal case that I am not as involved in, and then there will be another case after that I can't really say anything about. That I will be heavily involved with. Basically, long story short, I tried to ring his doorbell to ask him if he did live in that house. I wasn't even certain he did. To clarify his comments and to see in broad daylight if he would stand behind these words that are so threatening to so many people. It's not just about abortion. It is about, like, empowering men who believe that women's bodies belong to them. And that is the mentality behind rape, is it not? When I tried to ring his doorbell, he swung the door open, he pepper sprayed me, he pushed me down the
Oh
steps.
gosh.
Yeah, and in the thankfully there was he still grabbed my phone from my hand, went back inside, stomped on it, broke it. Thankfully there was a witness who called the police, and I was able to retrieve my phone. My phone was broken. Hi, Sovereign. But I did have I could access my videos and camera. I couldn't make or receive calls. Anyway, the point is the police came, and there are legal proceedings happening. His next court hearing, I believe, is in March, and I think that is when he has to enter his plea. And from there, we'll find out more. But basically, it became a huge public story. I posted about it. Perhaps, I don't want to say anything about that, but I have legal representation, and it really hit the hornet's nest because a lot of white nationalists, a lot of neo-Nazis, a lot of proud incels and misogynists came after me because I was doxxed in the ensuing, which I kind of expected would happen if we went public with it. Anyway, the point is, it became a big public thing. Like, there were major outlets everywhere reporting on it. And I got a new phone full of messages from people threatening my life, calling me, all kinds of, just basically saying they're going to kill me or I should die on my own volition. And so I'm seeing it through, to see what I can do about all of this. I feel like there's a ton of responsibility on me to follow through, because people like that don't usually face consequences, and I don't want him to face violent consequences, but I do want him to know that you can't behave like that. I want there to be some kind of consequence. So anyway, that's basically the sort of the gist of it, of what I can say.
How are
I'd
your
rather be in
ribs?
my position than his. That's all I have to say.
How are your ribs?
Okay, so yeah, I don't know. Did I mention, like, so the fall broke 6 of my ribs. I've never broken a bone. I broke a toe once many years ago. They are healing, but again, that's one of those things I can't say much about without jeopardizing my case.
Right.
So yeah, it was kind of like I couldn't even get into the hospital to get a CT scan and X-rays and all that until, so that incident happened on a Sunday, and I couldn't even get in until Thursday because of so much stuff that I didn't have a window of a few hours even. But so I'm healing. The anxiety is really bad. But we have, a security system now that we didn't feel the need for before. And yeah, I'm doing okay. I think the anxiety is really up and down, but
That's fair. It's a big deal. It was a very big deal, and I don't know if I can say this or not, but you were feeling out what you should do,
Mhm.
whether you should drop it or move forward. And I get that a lot of people were like, just let it go. It's okay. Put it behind you. And I
Mhm.
was one of those voices that said, absolutely not.
Right. And I
Because
appreciate that. I appreciate all the well-intentioned feedback.
yes, because it's just another one of them getting away
Getting away. Yeah.
with fill in the blank and no repercussions for horrible words or actions.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And it speaks to, what you were really there initially, what you started out that you were there to accomplish,
Mhm.
find out information about, the
Yeah.
states made on body autonomy. And
Mhm.
it kind of, in a terrible way, certified that you were there, to
Mhm.
research.
Right. Yeah, it was really. the reporter brain of mine is just kind of like, because there were rumors like that he doesn't really live there, that he just owns the house and there's renters there and his mother owns it. He actually lives with his in the basement. So
Right.
I kind of was curious, just like I can settle this, I can answer this if I, I didn't expect I would see him. But that was the impetus behind it. It's just like I can perhaps find out if he actually does live there, and then people can stop like making up nonsense or just jumping to conclusions about this or that. So yeah, it was all very unexpected, all of it.
Marla, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I know because I've seen the video. Obviously, it got caught on video. How did you manage to like? Because it was recording live when he stomped on it. How did you manage to save it? If you're allowed to answer that.
Right. No, that's a great question. So I was recording when I started to try to ring the doorbell because I thought like maybe his name or somebody else's name would be on the doorbell, and then I could then have further proof, like he does live there, he doesn't, or at least some idea. I don't know exactly. Maybe it was like a part of the phone that broke and didn't. I think it could have been divine intervention.
Yeah.
Because thank God it existed, because the witness wasn't, the person
Yeah.
who observed the whole thing wasn't recording. And then it would just be my word against his. And
Right.
we know how
That's
that
what
goes.
Yeah.
So the we took it in. John was able to get into the Apple store. I have an iPhone, and he was able to move all my data, all my phone, all my videos and pictures and stuff onto his laptop. Thank goodness. But yeah, in terms of everything else, it was trashed.
It was stomped on.
It was, yeah, and you
It
can
was
see it
stomped
in the video. Like that's when it stops, is when he stomped on it.
Yeah.
twice, right? It took 2 times.
I'm not sure. I'd
I
have
feel
to
like
go.
he stomped on it once and he looked
Yeah.
down. It was like
Yeah.
still recording, and then he stomped on it again.
Yeah,
And it was like
he
out.
should have just deleted it. I could have probably retweeted. I'm not here to give advice to neo-Nazis, but
But you wouldn't be if you wouldn't be a neo-Nazi if you were smart.
I actually, sadly, it brings me pain to say this. I actually think he's smart. I think he's evil, but I think he's
Right.
smart. But
Well, not
not
smart
smarter
enough.
than any of the
Not
rest.
smart enough to
Mhm.
like look at, you're not a huge person in height,
Mhm.
stature of any manner. You're female.
Mhm.
You rang a doorbell and got accosted, and it's. I mean, I don't answer my door,
Right.
right? So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean, like,
and I have a video. I have a camera.
yeah, he didn't have
So-
any kind of, no soliciting sign, no any kind of sign that said do not ring this doorbell. So if there had been that, I definitely would not have. I think that, like the whole argument, I was scared. That's why well, wouldn't you call the police or something else?
Right.
If you're scared of little me. So
Right. Because if you're really there to do something nefarious, you had enough time to.
I did. I mean, like my hands were out and displayed. I was clearly not,
Right. Right. Yes.
Yeah. So I think it was just his opportunity. Like I think he was scared of everyone else.
Well, over 50% of the population is female. If we just take out the people that are like, MAGA, you've got a high percentage of females. Even some of those MAGA females
Yeah.
still are pro-choice and still don't want a man telling them that it's not their choice what to do with their bodies,
That's a great
whether they are out and open with that or not. They do exist. So when you make an enemy of that many people in one country,
and he
the world, you should be scared.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I hate to use the trope that they do, like that F around and find out.
Yep.
I did F around and I did find out he is a big wuss, but I also think he effed around and he's finding out. It's like it works every direction, you know.
Mhm.
And if you don't like the consequences of pissing off, you know, tens of millions of people, then maybe don't say things that are as inflammatory as that. You know, I don't know. Just a you know, suggestion.
Or just deal with the repercussions. I mean,
Yeah.
because when you're inflammatory, you'll make a ton of money.
Mhm.
You know, I've joked about that. I've joked about the vegan movement. If we were inflammatory, we could reach a lot of people and we could make a ton of money. I mean, and there are people who are lean that way, but there really aren't. I mean, what's his face? The Australian guy. He's gone that way. What's his
Right.
Gatsby.
I think they
Yeah.
tend to dip out because they try to get their attention and then it just doesn't work out for them too well over the long term.
Right, because I haven't heard from him at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he got crap for flying first class to the island that he lives on now with his girlfriend.
Is that James guy, whatever his last
Yeah,
name?
James. What was his last? Aspie,
Aspie.
that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great speaker. I mean, I've heard him speak in person. He's a great speaker, but you know, he went in a direction that, you know, well, we can talk about that. But thank you for sharing that, Marla, sharing
Thank
what you
you.
can.
Yeah.
We all have a vested interest in your safety and that you're okay. And as
Thank
far as one of my main things is to let you know we have your back, and as a community we should have your back, and as a community we should be fighting back, and it shouldn't just be your fight.
I agree. And it's like these are issues that are very they should be very intersectional, you know, of oppression and bigotry and hate speech and hierarchy. These are all, as vegans, we're supposed to, you know, care about
We're
one
supposed to.
another too, you know. So
Right. Yeah. It's human rights,
Yeah.
basic human rights. That's
Yes.
what it is. Yeah.
Right. And it's like I've never felt you know, I never have felt abandoned in this. I feel very supported. So that's been good.
And Marla, so obviously there's a legal battle and there's legal expenses. Is your GoFundMe still open? And
oh, that's sweet. Yeah, if John is watching, maybe he can post.
yeah, great. Yeah.
the thing. But yeah, it is. I mean, this has been expensive because we've had to invest in all kinds of security we didn't have before, and had to take a lot of time off of work and that sort of thing. So any little bit helps us to fight the battle. So $5 goes a little way. Thank you, Ray. I really appreciate that. I'm good. It's all good. I mean, I don't mean it like that, but I do mean I'm here for it, whatever that means.
Right. You have the strength to get through this. You're not alone. You have support.
Support
But
my family.
your steps to go through it are super duper scary.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. It's against
It
your
is.
dreams.
Yeah.
I understand.
I've had to tell the cops locally a few times, like, it's not like I've been in this situation before. It's not like I could just go through all the other times that a Nazi pushed me down the steps and injured me or whatever. And I had to sue that. So it is like totally uncharted waters for me. So,
Not recommended for those of you at home.
no, it's all good. And it was just, I think that it was such a perfect storm of things, just because a lot of us, everyone here on this call we were feeling very, upset by the consequences of the election, I think, and then to rub it in our faces, your body, my choice. There was a lot of pushback. So it was, I don't think the right wing wants to underestimate us in the way that just for their own sake. I'm not here to give them advice, but not terribly smart. I think they're arrogant. Fingers crossed.
Well, we're gonna veer off,
Yes.
and then we're gonna come back. So we're gonna throw it over to Dr. Shayla, and we're gonna talk about red dyes and the fact that red dye somehow our government has decided to remove it from foods, and what that,
Yeah.
and what that impact is.
Hmm.
And tell us
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, so it's it's a good segue. So it fits into our new year. You have a lot of new year, new me folks who create those goals. So one goal can be to eliminate the red dye from their diets anyway and eat more vegetables. But so the food dye, the issue is using these artificial food dyes. So not like things that have been dyed with beets or with fruits and vegetables, but the artificial dyes. And so it's particularly food red dye number 3, and I believe number 40 was the other one. And so we've known in the medical field, we've known, for quite a while that these things have been associated with behavioral conditions. There tends to be kids, for example, with ADHD, when you remove some of these, processed foods and things from their diets. Does it, cure ADHD? No,
Right.
but it can help, them cope a bit better and have a bit more stability from these things. But what they found more recently, though, is that these food dyes are actually causing cancer
Mm.
in animal studies, and so that's really what's leading the charge into outright banning it. I mean, you would think it would be enough that it was harming our children, but as we've seen with other things, that hasn't been enough. But now that there's this potential cancer risk, and so that's really where the ban is coming. So, but it'll affect really those processed foods. So you tend to see a lot of it in cherry things that are considered cherry flavored or strawberry
Mm.
flavored drinks, those bright red kind of
Ooh.
drinks is where a lot of it is. And then a lot of potato chips with the food
Oh,
dye in it.
like
And
barbecue ones or whatever, or not?
yeah, but
Or
typically
hot
not the ones
Cheetos?
that are just like right, like hot Cheetos, but things that usually the ones that turn your skin red. After you've eaten it, kind of thing.
Yum.
It's probably got right, exactly. We'll have it in it. Even those candies, those candies and the little hard
Peppermints
candy
and
thing,
yeah.
right? It'll melt on your hand, and now you got red fingerprints. So those are the red dye things. Because if you think about it, typically anything, even a beet, even though a beet has a really bright red color, but usually it's easily wipes away or easily
Yeah.
removable. So it's really those artificial things are the issue.
What do you know when I know people have been trying to outlaw some of these dyes for generations, really, decades at least. When did this process start with the red dye? Do you know? In terms of like
Yeah, I don't
the-
know, but I know from the FBA. So the article, that I had shared with you, that just came out like 2 weeks ago, where
okay.
they are starting kind of this more on a federal level of the ban. But I'm not sure, when they really started looking at it. But the recommendation for the all-out ban was just like within this month.
Okay. I'm sure Trump will take credit for it. That's kind of why I want to bring that up.
There's the
Oh,
GoFundMe.
good. There's the
Oh, that's
GoFundMe.
John Pissed. Yeah, thank you.
That's her
But
name.
yeah, I mean, these things do take. I mean, the wheels are very very slow.
Yeah.
Especially with how big the industries are. That
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
something
And
you can.
even if you look at, environmentally, the impact of foods that are treated with like pesticides,
Mhm.
for example, and the health risks that those things have had, or even in areas, Flint, Michigan with the water crisis and
Yeah.
the impact that it had on those communities. So, we do know that these things have these impacts. It's just become more in the media because it actually made it to a level where the government was willing to step in and say, okay, hey, maybe enough is enough with this.
Mhm. Do you know? I have to admit, I haven't read the article yet, but I do plan on. Do you know if there was like a was there some kind of impetus that really drove it in terms of like somebody who had or was it just like
Right, like was
this
there something
collective-
out of the usual? From what I can tell is that they found a certain, and I had even pulled it up, but there were a certain number of particularly thyroid cancer in mice. These were animal studies for our animal lovers. Trigger warning there, but yeah, but these were performed in rats where they found just a significant number of thyroid cancer that were exposed to these. But even looking at this, it said even in the 1980s, you asked Marla, like, how long ago did they know this? But this is showing even as early as the 80s, they knew some of this. So I don't exactly know what was the final, kind of like straw that, that
it would have to be like, I'm so cynical about, I mean, I hate to say that, but I am so cynical about our government and like standing up for public health that I'd have
right.
to.
You have to wonder, what's like the back, like is somebody getting paid somewhere or something,
Or just like, what would it take for them to finally, do something like for the public good,
right. Yeah. Is there a lobbyist or something?
It's like, and can we do that for a bunch of other things?
Well, that's a really good segue.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Sovereign.
Yeah, Sovereign, tell us what you have to say.
Hi. I can say that, in all honesty, that TikTok had a big hand. And the very fact that TikTok is a global platform, and I have family in England, and myself reading that there are a lot of things internationally that have been banned overseas that for some reason we're still here. And when people make noise, especially the younger generation, and doctors who are on TikTok who say, hey, this is not, it seems to make an impact. And I'm extremely happy that finally, and there are more that need to go because it's disturbing. That's why if I go somewhere, I'd rather you look at me like I'm crazy for reading the label.
Yeah.
And that's the key, right? Yeah. To just, people really just need to be mindful of reading labels. That's one of the first thing I teach patients all the time is look at the label. You do want to know what's in your food.
Yeah. And so hopefully the next thing, that we find that they remove is BHT, which is a form of a formaldehyde. They need to get rid of that. You'll find that a lot with children's cereals and just, it's just
and crackers, children's crackers.
Yeah. It needs to be removed. I think the United States is late to the game. Do I think that, the orange person is going to try and take credit? Of course, whatnot. But it's the fact that it happened and was passed before he got into office. And I'm hoping that now, I don't know, in the next 4 years, I don't need to bite my tongue. My feelings are very valid. I'm terrified. But if after he's out, whoever does decide to come in and waive it where it continues, then hopefully we will start to meet up with where we are few and far between.
Yeah.
Because the United States is great at some things that we really don't need to be happening or be here. You need to put as much focus as the care instead of letting Big P win. I don't feel like I should censor, but hey, you know what I'm saying? You can understand what I'm saying with coding. But I'm happy that it's out. But I will say TikTok makes noise. I really am. I don't know where the platform is going to go. Hold on, that is RuPaul. I'm sorry. I don't know where it's going to go. I know that we have 90 days because according to what I was reading, the Supreme Court, he cannot just do an executive order and waive that Supreme Court has ruled it down. It's a big tragedy because so many creators and small businesses like myself and many others and people who are just looking for community and family. And I can definitely say it's been super helpful in a lot that has happened in my life in the last 2 months. It's been fantastic because to have support or trying to know where to go or getting ideas and having being able to bond and be a small business and marginalized community. It's sad that it's going. But we have some new apps that are options. I'm waiting for those. Blue Sky is fantastic. It's one of my favorites.
Which one's that?
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's making we're making as much noise as causing good trouble. If you're punk or goth, we don't stand for that. We don't conform. So we're going to do as much as we can to make a change. And then once that platform is gone, still make it change and just continue to be as loud And I'm hoping that we just continue to be loud for everything that needs to be changed. And I hope that it continues with pulling more and more things out in terms of harmful additives, within foods and stuff like that.
I don't understand how, like, I'm on TikTok. Like, I didn't delete it. I'm still there. You can't access it now if you didn't have it. But why aren't more people up in arms about something being censored in our democratic society because of who owns it, when they own a high percentage of real estate in this country, and we have so much money owed to China that if they called their debts due, we would be bankrupt as a country. But we can't do a platform, and people are like, there are businesses from all over the world in this country that have employees and social media and followers and blah blah blah, and we purchase things from them. What's next? If you can't go and have fun on TikTok out of fear of your information being traded, then how are we going to buy stuff from China?
Okay, raising hand invisibly.
Yep.
Meta bought TikTok. If anybody noticed, you said that it was canceled, it was going away, and things like that. And then as soon as it did go down, all of a sudden we are going to thank President Trump. Remember, Zuckerberg and whatchamacallit there and Show were present, which we TikTok community were pissed with Show immediately, because you get on there and you tout, and all of a sudden he deleted a video that he had favorited and shared and reposted with Charlie Kirk. We were like, what is up with you? Where Donald Jr. went over there to Greenland and said, hey, we're going to do it. I was like, wait a minute. Show is a former intern of Facebook. We all thought you guys were going to the same inauguration. All of a sudden, CEO of TikTok was removed from your bio. All of a sudden, you have an Instagram page. All of a sudden, Facebook has a TikTok page. This has nothing to do with China, because they're censoring. As soon as that went dark and came back, it said, let's thank President Trump. Then all of a sudden, it was a blue when you wanted to go live. We're like, wait a minute, no. It was red. Anytime somebody went live, it was red. All of a sudden, it's blue. Then crypto is popping up on ads. I said, we were like this. You bought. You sold. Facebook has it. Meta bought TikTok. It is being censored, but the way apparently to do...
Wait, Meta bought TikTok?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
No.
Meta bought TikTok. Yeah, they did. China did not buy. No, they did.
No, they have not. That is not official.
Meta has high stock.
Okay.
In TikTok. Meta bought stock in TikTok along with Congress people. Crypto ads keep popping up all over the place when you go through it. There is censoring. But here's my big thing. TikTok has been around for 5 years. If China had it all of a sudden, there was no censoring there. There was mid-censoring. And the censoring that happened was people doing it when it came to Palestine and Gaza. There was a lot of censoring.
Just so you know, TikTok is not part of Meta. They did not, that is not a deal that could go through without anybody knowing. It would be very public. It is owned by ByteDance, the Chinese technology company that has refused to sell it to anybody else or lose full control.
So I want to know then, and this is not getting in a battle with you, because that's not what I'm doing here.
I'm looking it up. I just looked it up. That's why.
Okay, that's fine. CapCut is owned by ByteDance. That's banned here in the United States. You cannot get it back. Why?
It's because well, I heard people.
It went away when TikTok went away, though.
Right,
but it's not TikTok because it's the same owner. But I heard people are able to get back into CapCut.
If you already have it, though. If you don't have that, you can't.
Right. Everything that ByteDance owns is going away.
I don't know any of these things.
People just talk about TikTok. CapCut's a big deal because it's a really good program to edit video and post
videos.
Right after.
Yeah,
that was how you got those videos, Marla, with like you get the newspaper behind you and you're like you're talking in it.
What's it called?
It's called CapCut, but now
okay, John, are you taking notes? Because we need to know these things. Can I say something?
Yeah.
I just want to say really quickly that I think that part of what's going on is these tech bros, they know that we go onto these platforms and we build community and we create content because we are the creative ones, you know. I mean, not to paint with a broad brush, but it's true. They're not, you know,
Right.
but that they can just go in. It's like if you ever played a board game with like a bully and all of a sudden the bully starts losing and then they just like take the board game and throw it up in the air. They see, you know, we can go onto these platforms and create, you know, I mean, so I'm actually struggling with this myself because I do not want to be as I am at this moment on a Zark Muckerberg production, but here I am because I feel responsible in my community to stand up for the people who are being targeted by ICE right now. I feel like I have invested quite a bit of time into this platform over the last whatever years, 10 years. And right now I can't be public on it because I've got freaking Nazis after me. But but in a hyper localized way, I can help. But the problem is that we're on these different platforms, we're building businesses, we're creating communities that they can just be like, I'm going with my toys now, you know. Why don't you just go off on like create some right-wing thing and you know, and
They
just
did. It's called Truth Social.
I guess there's nobody there because they're fucking boring ass people who have
There's
nothing.
Telegram. I mean, there's other stuff that is out there that you can go to
I guess
that
they
will
should,
lean.
but the point is that like the more we find ourselves in positions where we depend on the largesse of these tech bros to be caring about us, to be caring about our communities, to be caring about what we build on their platforms, blah, 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 the more vulnerable we are always, because they're never going to care about us, not for a second.
Right.
They care about what we can bring to
Yeah.
and the thing is that they know, whether they admit it or not, they know that they are dependent on us because like people like us are the ones who are bringing people to the platform, which brings the advertisers, which brings the data, which all that stuff. So they can pretend that they just gave us this nice little thing. But the fact is we are the ones who have made them rich. And so, you know, we kind of, I don't know, like any time that you depend on someone as, you know, flaky and uncaring, callous as a tech bro, you're going to find yourself in a bad position, you know? That's kind of.
Oh, you know, any of the marketers and, you know, will tell you email, you know, just getting back to old school email really is the best way to, you know, own your audience, if you will, because you're right, because, you know, these social media platforms, they can come and go. But, you know, versus
Come on the
just having your
bathroom.
good old fashioned your good old fashioned
You're
email
not muted.
list.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, Shayla, what were you saying about
Yeah, having your good old fashioned email list, because you can keep that, you know,
Sure.
regardless of
Well,
if
that's why
Facebook is shut
I
down
keep
or
trying
TikTok is
to,
shut down or
right. I keep trying to encourage people, and people look at me like I've spouted 2 or 3 extra heads, that get a newsletter going and keep it going.
Yeah.
You know, because then you can have a direct, if you won't have this giant splash, but it will not be something they can take away from you, you know?
Right.
Oh gosh, my newsletter goes out to close to 9,000 people weekly with a 50% plus open rate.
Open rate,
So
that's great.
Oh,
that's
that is great.
4 plus thousand people, and I feel obligated. I write it.
Yeah.
So, and it's a matter of what I'm going to talk about when I sit down to write it tomorrow. I don't know today what I'm going to write.
I think like that's been a big thing. People say do Substack. Substack is newslettering. People should go like I'm going back to blogging.
Yeah.
And
I'm going back to blogging.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
Go back
I have
to
Blue
old
Sky.
school shit, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's been super awesome because Blue Sky is like better than X could ever be. And I love that
Yeah.
you can say goth sky, you can say music sky, you can say vegan sky. And there's so much engagement, literally, that I've had between anybody, be it a celebrity, be it a regular person, be it a musician. Like, it's been really, like, they talk to you, like, they respond. And I do like the fact that Blue Sky kicks off people that don't need to be there. They don't put up with any hate, any of that. I really appreciate that. And it feels there's that. Then people are going back to Tumblr. People are going back to, I'm getting off of Spotify. I mean, I'm a verified artist on Spotify, but I also found out that Spotify is getting rid of their DIE, or they supported Trump something, and I'm not doing that anymore. So I'm going back to Bandcamp. I'm going to just do it the old-fashioned way. MySpace. Going back to MySpace as an artist. It is still operating.
MySpace even there?
It's there. It's there, but it's like more for artists. Like, instead of how the platform
still existed.
I love
it does. It does. It's more for like artists. It's kind of like Spotify in a way. But just going back to that, having your own website. Once Neptune starts, I plan on heading over to Neptune.
What's Neptune?
Neptune is going to be the replacement for TikTok.
Oh,
it is woman-owned, LGBTQ-owned, woman-owned, American-owned. They're in their beta stage right now. So if you have an iOS and Apple, you can start using it in March. For Android users, it'll launch in the summer. There's somebody else who Blue Sky is working on what's called Flashes, which is like Instagram.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, so we're signed up for that. There's a lot of alternatives. Marla, I understand what you're saying about like staying on the platform, because if you have a voice and you want to use it, I am getting off of Facebook. I'm getting off of all. I'm staying on TikTok right now until the 90 days are up. But it does make me upset because it has been like 10 years or so building either memories or building a business on Facebook. And you're just kind of like, and TikTok really is like, even before this whole thing went down, the changes that Instagram and Facebook were having, like their algorithm and engagement starts to shrink.
So gross.
And I was like, but if you go on to TikTok, it's like grows so quick, like in terms of like getting out there and things like that. And you don't have to struggle so much. It's still, but it makes me upset and sad. And was I one of those people that cried when it went? Absolutely. Because you're not just thinking about yourself, you're thinking about people who may have disabilities, people who may not be able to work, business on there, or communities. It's devastating. And now you're censoring us. It's just
such bullshit. And
it is.
I really feel like I can't. Today has honestly been a very difficult day because I did have this whole thing. I'm getting off of Facebook. I genuinely do not like being there. I don't like fucking right-wing assholes showing up in my feed when I've never engaged with them ever, ever, ever. But it is my largest platform right now,
You have over 1 million followers on Vegan Street. That's a big deal.
Yeah. And so I just feel like when I had dipped out and was like, I just like when Zuckerberg, I'm just gonna call him Muckerberg, Zuckerberg, went and kissed his ring. Not that I had any kind of like respect for him before that, but like when they all got in line and basically, bowed down at his gilded throne, I just like, it's really hard for me to respect myself and still be on that platform. I do understand though that I've got that it is also privilege for me to be able to say, well, fuck you, Zuckerberg. I'm not. I can give something through my platform. You know what I'm saying? I signed up to be on a rapid response team for ICE. I mean to protect people in my community. And if I can use my platform to get the word out about their harassment, then that's something. But today is like waking up to the news that the House introduced legislation to outlaw abortion nationwide. That watching that, I'm sorry, I just like every other word out of my mouth I want to swear, but watching tapes or video of that fucking Kennedy douchebag. That just like the arrogance of someone like that. It's from one bro to another bro. Trump trusts him, Kennedy, who has no background in science or medicine, to know better about abortion pills than all these scientists. It's just like, well, the arrogance of it, just the arrogance of someone who calls himself, body freedom or whatever, that he is able to be okay with denying women reproductive autonomy while calling himself a health freedom. What I guess I'm saying is dipping back into this world is also painful. I miss my friends on Facebook that I've cultivated over these years, but it's also I can't find balance in this. I have a really hard time. So, I'm sorry, I said too much.
No. You are far from alone. It's a balance of head in sand and what can I do to fight this? And do I need to build walls in my bedroom or in my crawl space for people to live like Anne Frank?
Yeah.
And when do they knock on my door? Or when do they knock on your door, Marla? And when do they knock on Sovereign and Dr. Shayla's doors? Because they're not going to knock on Kelly's door. She's got her own government to deal with.
Mm-hmm. And they call us melodramatic. And that's the thing is we kept pointing the Project 2025. That is their wet dream, and they are following it to a T as much as they can. They kept calling us melodramatic. They kept saying, "Oh, that'll never happen.
That won't happen. Mm-hmm. That won't happen here." So when you take an immigrant, a person who is here that I guess is not a citizen, because I'm not going to call them illegal because they're human beings.
Thank you.
Right? When you take a person who's here and has not completed the process of being a citizen, and you remove them instantaneously from their workplace, their home, or whatever it is, that job needs to be filled. The rent needs to be paid. The landlord ends up without rent. The landlord ends up with a house that they have to now empty on their dime because that person's gone or people are gone.
But guess who's not signing up to work those farms?
Oh, no, they're not.
They sure are shouting it from the rooftops. How is this going to result in lower prices?
No, it's not. It's not. There are people showing on TikTok the videos of where eggs are literally almost $14 a carton or so in New York. I'm looking at this and I'm just like, you guys are going to schools.
You guys are idiots.
You're taking kids. And when you're doing it so that the parents have no choice but to come. Right. And then you take the parents with the kids. The teachers that are standing full front and 10 toes down for these babies, I will forever love them because they are protecting these kids and they're just like, they are worth more than anything. And you are not going to do this. I hope that the teacher who's in Texas who said, come get these students because they can't speak English. I hope you get your due. I hope karma comes around to you. We are now, unfortunately, in a F around state. Why? We didn't ask to find this out. We told y'all. We told you guys. It's not anything. The people who thought that they were safe, you're not safe.
But what about Mississippi? Mississippi putting a bill up that they will give people who turn in illegals and they're deported $1,000.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so the modern day bounty hunters. But the thing is that it is not about safety. It's never been about safety because he just granted immunity to 1,500 people who actively beat up the security, that many of whom are spouse abusers. He just basically is like, you are my new brown shirts, you're released. So it was not about safety with regard to that. It's not about safety with regard to the blanket broad immunity he just gave to all of these people who were convicted of endangering
and like stuff.
Reproductive rights clinics. It's not about safety when people with uteruses are dying because they can't access proper, complete health care. It's never been about safety. I'm so sick of the bullshit.
It's never been.
It's about money.
It's
About
never been
money.
about.
I
It's
just
about white supremacy
Thank you.
and
male
white male
male
supremacy.
supremacy.
And you went ahead and they just passed it where now, because of you have signed a bill or an order to remove suicide help for veterans because of the trans LGBTQ who are there. This affects all veterans. They're going to end up taking
Right.
their lives. This was nothing about whatsoever. It is what you're that angry with us. You're also doing it where we can't get passports. You're also doing it where I don't know whenever I'm so terrified to legally change my name now. Are you going to come after me now? I can't legally change it. To have it be my preferred, absolutely, because that's who I am. But I, on paper, have to continuously look at my dead name and my sex that is not congruent to me. What is this? You actually went to schools and said you're taking away a child safety rule and safety thing in schools because you just want it where kids start working at a young age and you want women's bodily autonomy. Explain to me. Was it worth the eggs?
The cruelty is the point. It's like the aggrievement, the cruelty is the point. It's in my town that is very a high population of Latinx people. The
All right,
the schools are now being they're half empty because parents are terrified if their kids get taken from them under the new normal, and also another thing that's going on is like there have been sightings and harassment by the ICE agents. So one of the things that happens is like the rapid response team is like putting out like videos of what the license plate looks like, what the car looks like, and some people get it wrong because we're in a state of chaos and confusion. And so if somebody gets it wrong, if somebody mistakes one black man for another, then everything just gets thrown out, so that gives the down players, who are the worst in all of this, I think, all more justification for not paying any mind to these words, yeah, it's disgusting.
Just don't forget, I think it's super important that you don't get caught up in the stuff and you stay focused on what the goal is. And I mean their goal, to understand what their goal is.
You're so
And
right.
we can
Yeah.
continuously go back and forth about, I can't believe they're this, I can't believe they're that. Meanwhile, people who feel like they don't have anything will side with the people that offer them something.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So when you put people in a state of no job,
Outrage, confusion.
no job, low wage, social media becomes the enemy. You tell people over and over and over again one thing, and that one thing we know is a lie, and lies and lies and lies. You're building, he has built an army of 1,500 plus people that are willing to overthrow the government.
Yeah.
And now they know that if they do it again and he says, I want you to do it, that maybe they'll go to jail for a little bit, but if he has the power, he will pardon them.
They'll be heroes. And also, it's not just those 1,500, it's the ones who want to be like those 1,500 next,
Well, I'm not as concerned about those people, because those people over the last 4 years didn't show up because they had fear of the repercussions of they potentially will now. Yes. There's an army of people that are just chomping at the bit to do his bidding. But we've lost 3 because one was killed, one was arrested on, I think, child molestation charges, and another one was arrested for carrying a gun.
Yeah.
And
they're dirtbags. Yeah, these are the worst of the worst. But you're so right that we have to keep our eyes on the prize, because what they want is for us to be discombobulated, scared, overwhelmed.
You
Or
can't,
distracted, most
yeah.
distracted.
That
Yeah.
exactly. The
And it's very
distracted.
easy to, it's just like the vegan movement, to bring it back to the fact that we're the vegan stew. Within the vegan movement, we're so disjointed and disconnected that we can't move forward as a movement
Right.
because the infighting is out of control.
Yeah.
You're
Over
wrong,
silly
you're
things.
this, you're that. And we can't get our shit together to the point where someone who's not vegan can look inside and go, yeah, I want to be a part of that. They don't want to be a part of it because you got people who are telling you you're wrong, and you got the people who are like us, who are like, no, just come on and check it out. The water is fine. We'll treat you well. We'll give you hugs. And then they run into that, or them. They run into them, and they're like, yo, these aren't my friends.
Right. But I think that's part of it, is that we need to learn or relearn how to human again. And I think that that's part of what social media kind of wretched.
Well,
Like,
I think social media just put a spotlight on it.
Mhm.
This has existed in mankind forever. So this is nothing new for mankind. The fact that we
But
can
it's
potentially
worse.
repeat the past of, of Nazi Germany is out of control.
Mhm.
The fact that people would take money to have somebody removed from this country who most likely didn't do anything wrong except exist here. The fact that somebody posted that one of their friends, no longer a friend, out of religious, for God fearing, doing what God would want, turned into illegal families, and they feel like they did their duty. That was a post from somebody that I saw on my Facebook who is no longer friends with those people, and also removed themselves from Facebook because they can't handle it. And most likely that person lived in South Carolina. So where that person
But
does,
I'll tell you, where these things are cruel and evil, as a person of color, I'm not surprised. Like, it's like, yeah, that's bad that that's happened, but I know how my parents, how my grandparents were treated in this country. So,
Mhm.
I've heard
right.
directly from them, the things that happened to them, especially being someone from the South.
Mhm.
So I'm not surprised that what's going on now. We still got, these are the descendants of those folks who did things to Black people, just not
Mhm.
that long ago.
Mhm.
And so it's just the same cycle.
Yeah.
I
I think this illusion that we've all, that things only got
Right.
bad.
And that was it. It was an illusion that we thought
I
that, oh, we were so great. But
I
Oh
will say
gosh,
this.
no, they were just in the closet. I actually, we've all been talking, but
Oh,
Kelly has had her prime minister resign, who was not just an attractive man, but seemed to be level-headed. And we have been hearing for the last few years that Canada is going a direction that's similar to the United States.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
are we going to get into war with Canada? Because hey,
No, no, no.
So, I mean, okay, so this is what's going on in Canada. And this is the thing that what keeps me up at night. Just on top of the fact that I just feel so sorry that half of America is having to deal with this, the people who did not vote for Trump, is that it has emboldened other extreme right wing political parties. Now you're looking at Germany; they've got their AFD or whatever, second place now, right? And it's happening in Canada. So yes, there was pressure on Trudeau to resign. I did not vote Liberal. I voted NDP, but I personally didn't. I just want to change, but this problem is we're a three-party political system, but really we are two. That third party can't ever really get enough votes. They got him once back in and we gave him one chance.
That sounds familiar.
So unfortunate, yeah, and so we're thinking like, oh, Trudeau's been around for 10 years, let's give somebody else a chance. But the person who's on the other side is like Trump light. He's extreme right wing, and so this mentality of like, oh, it's just the same thing, like, okay, people are frustrated with Biden, and so they wanted something else. But like, you know, what exactly has Trudeau done so bad that we are willing to put someone like that into our government? And the problem is, you know, is with Trump getting in, like the other day, they asked him straight, Polivier, Polivier, I think I'm saying it right, straight out asked about gender. And, you know, do you recognize, you know, multiple, like more than two genders? And he straight out said, I do not know of any genders outside of two genders if you can show me otherwise. He, like, you know, so, I mean, he's a politician. He understands gender, you know, but he felt emboldened to be able to say that because he knows he's going to get in. So we're just seeing this taste, and we're going to see it until the election is eventually called. And I'm really disappointed in the NDP because they're the party that I voted for, that they have had the Liberals back to ensure that the Conservative government is not going to get in. And now the leader of the NDP party, who I want in because I don't want another white man in, you know, the leader of the NDP party is Indian. He's Sikh. You know, I want change. I want, you know, I want to show an inclusive Canada, you know, and I think that he represents us well, you know, but he is willing to vote no confidence to call an election sooner because he's banking on the fact that the Liberals will have such low votes that he could take over as the official opposition party. So he knows the Conservatives are going to get in, and the best that we can hope for right now is that they don't get in with a majority government. That way they have full reign of government, that there'll be some opposite. So that, you know, that we're
always in that position though, right? Of let's try to make this as it's going to be evil, it's going to be terrible, but let's just try to like maneuver a little bit so that it can't be quite as bad as possible.
And it's the same. It's like, okay, did Biden do things wrong? Yes. Did Kamala do things wrong? Yes. But nothing Trudeau has done is as bad as what Polivier is going to bring to us. So I'm only hoping and praying that Canadians will learn from this. I really hope. And I have a glimmer of hope. That I was reading an article that Liberals were at an all-time low right before the election, and you know, and the gap between the Conservatives and the Liberals of favored to get in was huge, and now that's actually shrinking.
Oh, that's good. I mean, I don't mean to be a cynic, but we had so much of that kind of fluidity here that I think it gave me at least a lot of false hope. You know?
And I'm not saying, I mean, seeing our election go the way it did, how extreme it went. I you know, little side story that'll make you chuckle. There's a couple who voted for Trump in Texas, and there's a lot of people in Texas that did not, but this couple did, and the wife got a job with the IRS, so they sold their home and were moving like next week to Waco to work for the IRS.
How fun.
So lo and behold, what happened? Trump said no. So now they have to move, and she has no job because they rescinded the job. You know, and there's other people that'll like there's that politician in Florida and Miami who says, but not the Cubans.
Right, but and there's all these people now who have
sorrow's prayers.
Like, there should be an exception for those people that
there's all these people now for some freaking reason didn't realize that this is going to not bode well for their industries, that they can't pay. Nobody wants to work anymore. They can't pay U.S.-born people 20 cents an hour to kill themselves. I just like, how did they not realize that this is going to trickle down?
Because until it happens to you, it doesn't happen, right?
Here's the thing, and I'll speak on this. I don't know who to be more livid with people with melanin who voted against their own interest, who knew for a fact, okay, that this is going to affect you. I'm like, did you forget what the color of your skin was? Because as soon as the ones who were for Trump, and there was a TikTok video of a guy just the same shade as myself and Dr. Shayla, and he's a Republican, and he's mad. And it showed him after they won. You know what they were doing? These white Republicans, MAGA people, were racial slurs, telling him to get out, all of this stuff. I don't understand.
Let's see your papers.
And what's going on? I said, man. I was like, read your.
No, and that is
they
true.
Just wanted your vote. And the scary thing is there is a young woman who is, she might be, I think she is of mixed heritage. So I think she's with Latinx and African or African American. She went on TikTok and is bawling her eyes out. She's a student, college student. Her mother and her brother were picked up. They're being detained. They look just like Dr. Shayla and myself. ICE does not care. They're going after you being brown and whatnot, to the point that my mother, who is literally, she is a naturalized citizen of the United States. She was born in Nigeria. My mother has messaged me and said, my God, please get your passports. My mother
What's
is
wrong with them? That's no joke. Shayla, Sovereign, that's no joke. You cannot leave your house without your passport.
You can't leave the passport.
Everyone in my house has theirs.
Any shade off of
valid.
white.
Yeah.
You have to get that. She said, get your birth certificate as well. She said, I'm going home in March to prep. She's leaving. She said, if anything happens, go.
Sovereign, how far removed does this sound though from a time where people needed their freedom papers to be in the street?
Doesn't thank you. It's not that far. It's not that far. My mom was very much the same person who was like, and my mom votes blue down the line. Okay. We've always been Democratic. This is the first time ever. I don't remember what it was. I think it was the last presidency where I myself was like, the last election, I said, I'm voting for Biden, but I'm independent. No, because I'm disappointed. But I was like, I'm not going to not vote because my vote has to go somewhere. And me not voting gives it to red. I have to go ahead and vote blue and think. This time around, my mom, she said, no way. She said, you can count me out voting blue. I will not vote any part. She's so disappointed because even in herself, the fear that she has from myself, her grandchildren, we have started speaking again. It was a long time. I haven't spoken, but it was the election results that immediately trickled cell text. We have been talking. She's been freaking out. She was the one who's very much like, oh, it's not going to happen. They're not going to let more people. And then boom, to the point where when I say, Mom, I don't know. And she's like, do you have your passports? Where can you go country-wise? I'm going back home. We need to hop on a plane. All you have to get to Nigeria. We go. My sister's in Florida. We're scared. Crapless. My parents and family is in Atlanta. We're scared. Crap. Like, we don't know. And my mother has her papers. She did the flag and the tests and everything. But she could get picked up.
Oh, yeah.
For the color of her skin.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Marla, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just like really brief, like to what you were saying, Sovereign, there were a lot of interviews I watched and read before the election where a lot of Republican Latinx people were saying that they were different kinds of Latino people.
Correct.
And
they didn't commit crimes.
Right. But they came here legally. And so there is also that aspect of hierarchical attitudes of like, I did things right. You are going to have to pay because you didn't do it right, you know.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
My mom did it right.
Yeah, I know.
You know, the people who become citizens, they know more about this country than the citizens. The amount you have to learn.
These idiots are talking about like deporting the priest or reverend or whatever. I'm Jewish. I don't know what that is. But I gave the speech at she's born here. Where are you deporting? Like, that's how dumb they are.
Because she spoke her mind and said the right thing. You know,
Like,
Mhm.
yeah, that's
Imagine
you
a person
cannot
of the church
support
said the right
someone
thing.
born
That's like
here.
she said what
blasphemy.
needed to be said. I watched their faces through the whole thing. They looked all
Yeah.
turned up and their noses looked like they're behinds. You know,
I
it's
know.
just like you guys needed to hear it. And I don't think people realize how serious this is. Benin, the country of Benin, the president has gotten there and said, all African diasporan, come home. They are giving land. When half of the country is now due to what happened with the slave trade, that the countries are recognizing that they had a hand possibly, or that they want their children to come home. This is literally the most unexpected. What was the other one? Rwanda has said, come home. This is a big thing. I don't think that people understand how bad it is for marginalized groups of color and gender. This is serious. And
It's
for
so
me,
serious.
I'm upset
It's
because
like
just
most
like
of
we
our
did say with
country.
freedom papers and things that we have seen, especially as being people of color in our history, I didn't think that these Generation Z, Alpha, Beta babies would have to be doing this. Me running around stressed and scared and trying to figure out what to do. The fact that they're trying to shut down IEPs for my children. We don't know what's happening for children who are with disabilities because you want to give them money somewhere else because it has to be. There's no moment of sleep that I have as a young parent. I really don't, because I'm like, they can't speak out for themselves.
Right.
We have to do it. And we have been fighting and we feel like we are running into walls. But all we can do is keep that spirit of being, we're not going to go ahead and take it anymore. We're not going to. We will go down and we will fight. What do we have to lose in terms of this? As a goth through and through with a funky heel, we don't. Conformity is nothing here. So we fight. They're all that we have. They're not good.
Sorry.
I thought it was done and settled that Nazis were bad people, right? Like, I didn't think that was still a debate. You know?
Well, not if they own Tesla.
Yeah.
And they send people into the stars, into
I wish they would. Bye.
the solar system. So to segue this to where Kelly wanted to go, and this will go off the rails right here. So what do we do with the people who voted for Trump, voted for the asshole in Canada, voted for, I don't know his name. What do we do with the people who are completely contrary to values and morals and intersectionality and sex? And I don't mean the type that you have. I mean what people are. What do we do with those people? Because there was already an argument that right when Trump was the president-elect, that you shouldn't get rid of your friends because they voted for Trump.
Ah, fuck that. Yeah, sorry.
Right? But
Trim
I was like,
friends list. Gone.
I
Get
was
out.
like, no, your morals and values are so contra to everything I stand for and believe in. How can you be in my world?
No.
You voted against my rights as a woman.
I'm already such an anxious mess that the idea that I would surround myself with people who are so, antithetical to my values, I can't imagine what kind of what kind of mind space I'd be in if I let that.
Well, I wanted to specifically say vegans because I'm thinking, Helene, for example, you run Veg Fests. If you look at the numbers, half the people you deal with probably voted for Trump, and you don't know who. You know what I mean? Like, are you going to not take their business? Like, you're going to have to make that decision, right? Some of us are in communities, volunteer communities. Do we leave those communities? Like, it's. I know it's not. Maybe it is an easy answer. Maybe it isn't. But and for us personally, it's like we hold it like people who are ethical vegans. We hold ourselves. You know what I mean? Like we do different, because we feel like our mind is open to compassion, and then we have these people who we think go that way, but then they displayed this complete lack of compassion. So understand, you know what I mean? Like it's and Sovereign, like to your point, like I there's this vegan who is obviously like not I don't want to say native to America because we're all on stolen land, you know, but
Right.
like, you know, who got here legally, the legal way, you know, and this is someone who's like a Latinx woman. And I see her, this vegan saying like, well, then they should, you know, like the same rhetoric that we're hearing. And like, I just, I mean,
Makes you want to throw up in your mouth.
yeah. And I think if it's something like where you maybe have less to lose, like, yeah, if it's just in your circle of activism, you can choose to leave that, you know, but
Right.
business is another one, or like even the workplace, you know, is a whole, like, that's much bigger decisions that you have to take into consideration in order to just like, you know, really, yeah.
Well, I can tell you that, you know, I just filmed the blocks, right? And I just signed a contract to go to film the blocks, which is
Yeah, tell us about that.
largest entrepreneurial like mastermind reality show on the planet by Wes Bergman, who I didn't know who he was. You might not know who he is, but some of you might know who he is. He's a really cool dude. So he's introverted like me, but his persona is villain. It's really cool. And he's very funny. But in that contract, it pretty much said, to sum it up, don't be a dick. It said, and he said, don't, while you're here with all these people, it was 100 entrepreneurs,
Wow.
plus some came as pairs. So 100 businesses represented. And he said, not all of you feel or believe the same things. Do not talk politics. Do not talk COVID. Do not talk about things that are highly charged while you're here. Now, were there some little side conversations? Yes. Did I realize when I made a certain comment what the reaction was, that I just dropped it? 100%. I understood where people kind of stood, where they were, how they are, what their businesses are about, to understand like whether they lean religious or not religious. But I'm going to tell you, all 100, well, 99 plus of the other human beings I met in my 6 days in Tulsa, Oklahoma, on an Indian reservation at a casino, these people are fucking awesome. And yes, there are people there who voted for Trump. I'm friends on Facebook now with some of them. I see their posts. I am mature enough to scroll by. If they post something like somebody did today that is 100% false, I posted this is a 100% false article and left it at that. And I'll keep going. What they do with that is what they do with that. If they end up blocking me, they end up blocking me. I hope not, because obviously I lean where I lean in my posts on my page.
Right.
And you're there now. And I understood going into this that some of these people are going to be friends with me on Facebook and
Is
be
this
like, oh.
is this screening some like is it I don't understand like all of the dimensions of what you just did, but like with the
The blocks. It's, if you go to betablocks.com right now, I think they have season 15 up and all the ones before that. I was on season 20. So it's not out yet. We just filmed it. I know they're editing it because I got a notification that they went and took my videos. So whatever piece I am in the show, they've taken my videos to create my, you know, the background of like when I talked about who I am, that intro piece. So I know they're working on it. I did not win the show. I can say that. The people who did win the show are amazing. It was we're able to talk like really able to talk about it because we were able to film it if we wanted to and post it on our socials while we were doing it. So, but it was I know now that I don't want to go to school. I'm done with school. I'm done with taking notes for school because I took 5 days worth of notes, but I learned so much from my business and so much that I can impart on other people's businesses, that I can help all the small businesses that I work with, whether they voted for Trump or not, because we tend to not go there. You know, if they go there to an extreme, Kelly, I have to make a choice. But just like vegans live in a world of non-vegans, I live in a world that 30%, 40% voted for Trump of the existing population that voted. More people didn't vote. And you know, it's impossible to, I really That's where I put my head in the sand, because a
Mhm.
lot of people are decent human beings. But as for the show, we we had 2 hours of class that Wes taught, and then we had lunch. But my day started at like 8 a.m. Like
Mhm.
8:30 was breakfast, and the days ended somewhere between 9 and 10 p.m. To give you an idea of what our days
Wow,
were.
it's a long day.
Right. And as soon as you were in breakfast, the filming started. So you were just on film, people filming the whole time, and you just ignore it. I mean,
Yeah.
you just ignore it. The cameras are there. It's like whatever. And so breakfast, class, lunch, and then he tells us what we have to do,
Mhm.
and we have 15 minutes to write down the answers or whatever it is that he needs us to do. Then we
Mhm.
go into pods. There were like 9 or 10 pods, and there would be like somewhere between 10 and 12 of us in each pod with a judge mentor. And then we'd have to present. And then here's the thing, it changed. It's season 20. So I went in knowing that it was not going to be like any other season.
Oh,
Because when you go to decades,
yeah.
you do things differently.
Yeah.
So I don't care. I didn't take the time to watch all 15 seasons. I watched 14. And I was like,
Mhm.
I don't know what I'm walking into, but I know it's something like this.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've come a long
It
way.
sounds like it was a really good experience in
It was
general.
it was absolutely incredible. I like public speaking, so that part I enjoyed, giving that little presentation of the exercise.
Yeah.
But then we had a pop quiz, and I fucking hated it. And I
What was the application process like? Was it like involved?
it was there's Facebook ads or Instagram ads, and it said, "Hey, do you want to win $10,000?" And I said, I'd like to do
Sure, why
$10,000.
not?
Yeah, so I just applied. I didn't look at it at all.
So that's
Nothing.
the main prize is $10,000 and the
$10,000,
title.
$3,000, $2,000 were the 3 prizes.
That's amazing.
Plus, there were businesses that got most valuable, and there were businesses that got most investable.
Right. Did you
And
get
that's
most personable?
but I'm not most personable.
I know, I'm kidding. I mean, like,
I'm introverted. I went into this telling myself that I will talk to everybody. And there were days, it was a day during that week that I posted on my Facebook that said, introverted side of me is really strong today. And there were people I was already friends with who were the blocks. And they saw that and they like let me
gave
be.
you space.
I
Yeah.
just went and ate breakfast by myself because I was like, I don't even want to talk to you people today. It's nothing about you. It's just like this is a lot.
Just
And
the
I
sight of you is making me sick. Don't take it personally.
and the other thing is like influenza A, COVID, sinus infections were like rampant in this group.
Yeah.
A lot of them came home and got super sick.
Right.
But I think I'm the only person that week, and this is no joke. I think I'm the only person who slept.
Wow.
I don't sleep when I travel.
Right.
I slept every night.
Well,
I
I
slept
think
all
you
night
probably,
out. My brain was used so much
yeah,
that my body went, go
like
to sleep.
powering down. But
Yeah.
also, I think it was probably an advantage of yours that you live by yourself, and that you don't, that you're comfortable by yourself. You know what I mean? That you don't feel the need to be,
Oh, I feel less of a need to be around people than most people, and I
Oh,
was
I
around a
totally
lot of people, and I really enjoyed being around them and the conversations I had and the learning about them. And me, I just gave advice. Like if you tell me what you do and I have an idea, I just told them.
right.
I mean, that's what I did all week when I had the energy to do it.
Yeah.
But after these pods, we'd go have dinner, and then after dinner, we'd start the blocks off, which is where they call up the top person in each pod and they get on stage and they have to do another activity. And the
Right.
first 2 nights was like a 3-minute summarization or something of questions. But the last 3 nights were a pop quiz. And I was like, as much as I want to get on that stage, I don't fucking want to get on that stage because I hate these quizzes. I hate them. So I found out that I was kind of coming in like third in my pods. I was in the top percentage of my pod, so I was doing well.
How many are in a
but
pod
in
generally?
Pardon?
How many are in a
10
pod?
to 12.
Oh, okay, that's pretty
Yeah.
good. You don't want to be
Yeah.
number one. They're all you got a target on your back.
Well, that's true because they get these special shirts on and blah blah blah. So I mean, you get points in the point system. It's like a whole thing, and then at the end of the show, they announce who wins, and they get their checks, and like it's the whole thing. Like one woman who I don't have it on me, but she creates she has families in Africa that create metal animals with beads.
Oh.
And it's so much nicer than I'm describing right now. So much nicer. Afrobead is what it's called, and you must all go follow that because these are so stunning. And she's like selling them for like $3, and I said 15. I said no.
You need to see
She's giving these families money, whether she makes money with these things or not. And it was like she got up on stage, she won her pod, and then she won for the night. And she got us standing up because she was just so sweet. And what she was doing just touched all of us. And she gave us all, I have like this cute little, oh, fuck, what is it called? What's the animal that male and female can give birth?
Seahorse.
Seahorse, thank you.
I was gonna say.
I have this little seahorse, and the seahorse is on my purse. And it's absolutely, I mean, beautiful. I mean, this is some beautiful stuff. And she's thinking about moving to Raleigh. And I was like, you need I will help you.
Can I jump in for a sec?
Of course.
I'm sorry, I've got to jump off. But it's so nice seeing you guys and hearing about that experience, Helene. I really have to pee bad and eat food. Sorry, not that. But
okay. It's been an hour and a half. So can you hold your bladder for a second? We'll close out the show.
I did just want to say one sweet thing. Helene, I'm glad that I could see all of you guys. And Marla, I'm glad that you're doing okay. You know who can suck it. I will keep it there because I want to say. I'm proud to say that I will see you in October for the ball. We're heading to Chicago. That's where we'll be. My coin's not going to the South. It will be going to Chicago for the first ball. Thank you for supporting my store as well.
I love your son.
Ben Kelly.
What's the dates in October?
25th, 26th, and 27th.
When's my event? I'm the 19th of October, and then I'm 11, 1, and 2.
Wait, when is it in Chicago? I'm sorry.
The 25th, 26th, and 27th. We are just relocating. Yep.
Right in between the two events.
Chicago will
eat you up.
Welcome you with open arms. Yep. Yes. I can't wait. I'm so excited to see you in person too.
Yeah. Put the link to that in the comments.
Yes.
So that people can see that and it'll go to everybody. And then, thank you for everyone for like making, Stu Crew for making the time to bring this together. And
Kelly, it's good to see you again too.
And just like, maybe we'll do this sooner, but it's like, if we do it sooner, we don't have as much of an investment of time. If we wait 6 months, we have a longer investment of time when we do it. Not that means if we did this monthly, we wouldn't go for like an hour and a half, but we're less likely to go for this long. So
I think there's so much going on that we could go for an hour and a half every week.
That is true. And I would be open to that if somebody wanted to do that. And to do a quick little talk it could help our SEO, it could help reach people. This is a very good way to reach people and have that conversation. And I want to stem that into my newsletter so that it kind of then goes on my website as a blog. And these are all really good things for building your business. Yeah. So there's some hints of what I learned at the blogs. So just how to implement it. That's probably the hardest part. But it's one step. They said, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It was posted on one of my posts in the blocks group that we have. And I said the vegan would prefer tofu. Just letting you know. Especially since we're eating a vegan animal. So but the whole concept of that idea is that big animal, one bite at a time, it's going to take time to get through it. So you have to start somewhere. As you start small and you work your way through. That's the analogy. It could be said differently, but that's the one that Wes used. So But thank you for listening to me, and thank you everyone for watching who watch, and anyone who stays this long. You're a true supporter, and we love you. Because someone's been on YouTube since the start. I don't know if it's the same person or not, but if you want to leave a comment, we'd appreciate it, and I thank you. And good to see you both and everyone else that was on. And I will close out the show and talk to you both soon.
Yeah.
I'm sure I will. All right.
Bye.
Bye, Sovereign. Bye, Kelly. And once again, thank you. Thank you for joining the Vegan Stew. We do love getting together and we do try. But it doesn't always happen, but we are in the background on a cute little like Facebook Messenger group, which might have to move someplace else, communicating as to wanting to do this. And if you want to see more of us, let us know. We'll make it happen. If you don't let us know. Keep scrolling. That would probably be the lesson of the day. But have a good rest of your January. And Veganuary is going on wherever you are. So continue to try vegan food and do those baby steps if you're not vegan. And if you ever need support, each and every one of us is willing to give it. So always reach out. We are more than happy to be there for you on your journey to saving the planet, saving the animals, and of your health. Thank you to Hodo Foods for sponsoring once again. And go to vegfestexpos.com to learn and sign up for my newsletter and all the festivals that we'll be doing, starting with mac and cheese on February 16th in Durham. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.